So I've started thinking about summer knits and I decided to self-draft a top, a vest. I don't know how you would call that particular garment, but I am making a summer, let's call it a top for now. For the last few weeks have had this idea in my mind of a top that essentially just consists of a front and a back panel that are only attached at the shoulder seam. So there's a little bit of a gap on both sides, and you can tie the sides together with an I-cord string. I also want to do an I-cord edge essentially all around, and I'm hoping, I've done some research, I'm hoping I can do that in a contrasting color, but still figure it out in a way that I can knit the main part of the body together with the I-cord tie. I want to do color work, and for some reason in my mind it is a lobster. I don't know why. I don't have any particular affiliation with lobsters. I just think they look cool. And I'm thinking of calling my garment Lobster Top Star, just because that would be really fucking fun. I don't want the color work to be centered. I want it to be kind of on the side. I'm not sure how that'll work out with like the claws of the lobster. Do you call it claws on a lobster? I don't know. I don't know things about lobsters. I don't know why I decided to put a lobster on my top. Please don't ask me. But yeah, it's supposed to be like kind of here on the side, and then the back panel is just blank, and that's what it's supposed to look like. And I did get yarn for it. It just arrived. It is called Belle, and it consists of, where did they write it? 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So I got this white color for the main part of the top, and then I got this contrasting red for the I-cord edge and for the lobster, because lobsters are red. And this color combination was actually the main reason why I decided on this particular yarn. I think they look really cool together. I like that the red is like a little muted. It's not as in-your-face red as some other reds I saw. So I've taken my swatch and everything else that I had in my head to the drawing board already, and I drew a sketch of what I want the finished garment to look like. I've written down all of the information about my swatch and my yarn, and now we kind of have to determine how big I want the garment to be. Obviously, if there's like a slit on the side and you can tie it, there's some room for variation. So, you know, you don't have to necessarily have a fixed circumference in the end, but I still want there to be like an average or something I'm aiming for, obviously, because I have to know how many stitches I'm supposed to cast on. And for that, I just take items I have in my wardrobe that I know fit me, and that especially fit me the way I want the finished garment to fit. My plan for right now is just figure out how many stitches I need for the back panel, and then I'm gonna cast that on and just knit my rectangle until I hit about where I want the armhole to be. And then I'm gonna do a mid-project block, and then I'm gonna be able to measure my row gauge, and that is when it's actually gonna be possible for me to figure out everything that's going up on up here. And when I'm finished with the back panel, I can go to my trusty Excel sheet and I can figure out the color work situation. So that's the fun part about self-drafting. You just kind of have to start and hope things work out in the end, but they will, they usually do. So yeah, let's do some math. Fun! Okay, so when I write things down on my tablet and I plan my garments that I'm designing, the first thing I always write down is my yarn, how much of it I got it and what colors I got it, and then I write down my gauge right next to it, including the information on what needle I knitted this. And then I'll write down my stitch gauge per 10 centimeters, and I'll immediately convert that down to 1 centimeter because I'm going to need that information later when I plan the measurements. And I also write down my row gauge, but as I explained, I don't have that yet, so that is still empty. And now I've taken some measurements, first of all from the black and the striped and the blue shirt I just showed you. So I wrote down what I measured across the chest, and then in the parentheses is where I wrote down the circumference, which is just double that. But for my garment, since I'm making it in 2 panels, I will just need like one side measurement, obviously. And I've also written down my chest circumference, which is 99 centimeters, as it always is. And for the other items, the shirts I measured, they were in size between 102 and 116 centimeters in chest circumference. So I knew I wanted to land kind of between that, and since my chest circumference, or the half of my chest circumference was like about 45 centimeters, I decided to give myself like 10 centimeters of positive ease there. And I landed on making the front and the back panel, at least if I imagined a side seam, 55 centimeters each. And now obviously there's going to be a cutout on the side, so I have to take some fabric away from there. And after some measuring on my own body and on the t-shirts I have, I decided that that would be about 8 centimeters. This is what my plan for that looks like. Very beautiful. Yeah, but I will take away like 8 centimeters from total, so from each side 4. So I will have to make a back panel that is 47 centimeters wide and a front panel that is 47 centimeters wide. You can also see my beautiful drawing of a lobster. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, so now I'm gonna use my stitch gauge to figure out how many stitches I need to cast on, which I've already calculated in advance because I'm so prepared. It's gonna be 80 stitches. I write that in a different color so I know which measurements were stitches and which were centimeters. And that's what I'm gonna do now. Finished my rectangle. This is what it looks like right now, and it is quite a little bit later, like 2 weeks I would say this took me, which is very long for me for this piece of fabric, but I've also been working on a gift net and it's taken priority over this project a little bit. I also just haven't been feeling like doing a plain stockinette project, I don't know. So I've mainly worked on this when I was on video calls and my other project was too complicated to be working on while also keeping up a conversation, and here and there when I was waiting, like on the bus, or I don't know, when I was waiting for my friends, things like that. I am happy to report that I did find a way to include these I-cord edges into my fabric from the get-go. So I already did a mid-project block some rows back, I don't know, somewhere here I guess, because I didn't knit a swatch big enough to figure out a row gauge. So this is my swatch that I knitted at first, and it's very tiny as you can see because I just wanted to get the stitch gauge because I knew I was gonna knit a big rectangle and I could like figure out the row gauge as I go. This is 26 centimeters now. I'm deciding we're gonna start decreasing for the armhole now, and that's why right now we have to go back and do more math to figure out how I'm gonna do that. So I've done some reconsidering about my sketch and the way I want my decreases to look, and I've decided that instead of having this straight line go from the underarm to up here, I would rather have a bit of a slope here and then have it go straight up, just because I believe that would look more flattering on me and on most people, I think. And also because that would be easier to knit, because then I can worry about the armhole decreases right now, and then I have this straight section and can worry about the neck shaping later, so I don't have to do both at the same time. So that makes it a little bit easier for me. So my little sketch right here, consequently, wouldn't really look like this anymore, but more something like this. Very pretty. And as I said, this part here is 26 centimeters right now. Should probably change colors for that again. I tried to kind of keep my colors a little bit separate, so I have one color for stitch count and one color for centimeters, because that just makes it a bit easier to, at the first glance, understand which numbers you're looking at. So this is 26 centimeters. And then I've done some standing in front of the mirror and staring at myself with a measuring tape this morning, which is always fun. And I've decided this little slope here, that, I don't know, let's say goes up until here. I could have drawn this better, but you're gonna have to imagine it's gonna be 7 centimeters. I've just arbitrarily decided that. I just held a measuring tape to myself and said, okay, 7 centimeters it is gonna be. And then we also obviously need to know how much we take away. So we need to know where we land up here. So right now the rectangle is like here, and then we need to know the measurement for up here. So I've decided that it's going to be 33 centimeters. Again, I just held a measuring tape up to myself and decided that was good. So I would have about 20 centimeters for the neck opening and then 6.5 on each side for the strap. I think that would look good. That's just what I decided. So I'm going to have 33 centimeters here. And that means that I would have to decrease 10 centimeters from the 43 centimeter rectangle I have right now to the 33 centimeters up here. So that means since I have two arms and we're taking away 10 centimeters, we're taking away 5 centimeters from each side. This is not a very, a drawing that is very proportional to what reality is going to look like. So this is 5 centimeters. So that means over the next 7 centimeters in length, we're gonna have to decrease 5 centimeters in width on each arm. So since I now, with the reassessed stitch gauge, have 18 stitches and 10 centimeters, and we're decreasing 10 centimeters, we're gonna decrease 18 stitches. That means 9 on each side. I'm gonna write that down in a different color. 9 stitches on this side, and we're gonna do that over 7 centimeters. I have a row gauge of 25 rows per 10 centimeters. So for 7 centimeters, that is about 18 rows. It's like 17.5, but I can't do half rows. And I've decided on 18 because I'm decreasing 9 stitches, and for some reason it happened to magically work out in a way where I can decrease in every second round. And since I want my stitches to slope towards the middle, or my decreases to slope towards the middle, I'm gonna do slip slip knit on this side, and I'm gonna do knit 2 together on this side. And since I don't really want all of that interfering with my echoed edge, and I also want to not mess with my method I came up with to just wrap the yarns around each other to keep the I-cord attached to the main panel, I think I'm going to place the decreases like 1 stitch in on the stockinette panel in the middle. So I would knit the I-cord, and then I would knit 1 stitch to attach everything together, and then I would do my decrease. So that's the plan for now. I'm going to try to work on it, and I guess maybe I'll go outside. I don't know, the weather's good, and I've already been outside knitting once this week and it was really fun. Some really nice knitting outside time, and I've finished all of my decreases. I actually added, I think, 4 more decrease rows than the ones I originally planned, and then I just knitted straight for 36 rows, I believe. That was quite boring, to be honest. I'm very excited to start working on the front panel and have some action happening. I'm ready to start doing the neck shaping, and I actually spent, I think, 2 hours this morning trying to figure out how to do that best, because I already had a very fixed idea in my mind of how wide I wanted the neck hole and the shoulder straps to be here. But as it turned out, the way I imagined it, it wasn't quite working out with the circumference of the neck opening in the end. Doing some changes to various parts of my measurements. And I tried to find a way to have the neck opening look a way in which I still like it, but that my head will also fit through it. Because obviously I want to include some kind of back shaping to an extent, because I don't want, I want the neckline to be quite high, but I don't want it to ride up and poke me. So the back has to be a little bit higher than the front. So yeah, that just meant that I was doing fun things with numbers and changing things around randomly and hoping that would get me a better result and end up at me having 60 centimeters in circumference at the end. And I did find a solution that has almost 61. So I also have some space to do the I-cord edge around the neck as well. I made this beautiful drawing here. Don't know if you can see it like that. I will put a picture. Yeah, there was a lot of numbers and a lot of math and a lot of Pythagoras theorem, actually. Who thought I would need that after school, but now I do knitwear designs. My plan right now is I want to put some stitches on scrap yarn here, for the left shoulder. No, actually this is the right shoulder when I wear it on my back. The right shoulder strap, and then I want to do an I-cord bind off in the red on the middle part where part of the neck opening is gonna be, and then I'm gonna knit the left shoulder first. So I'm gonna just knit it back and forth and do decreases along the neck opening here to make it a little bit wider. And once I'm done and I feel confident that this will fit me, I'm gonna be able to sit down and do my colorwork chart, which is something I've been excited about since the beginning of this project. Over the last few days, I've started on the front panel, and this is what it looks like right now. So I've already worked the I-cord edge, and then I did some of these antennae and the claws. And it's kind of fun, but also very exhausting to work with, because I tried to do intarsia on the antennae because it just seemed like the best option, because otherwise I would have quite a long float like in between. And then also to reach the claw later on, it would have been quite a long float. So I thought it might be smarter to start with intarsia for the antennae and then maybe also the claws, and then do the rest of the lobster and stranded colorwork. I thought that would probably be the best option. But I must say I don't enjoy doing intarsia on this very much, because by default you already have at least 3 balls of yarn attached. So you need the white for the middle, and then for the I-cord edges on the side you need a red for both sides. So that's already 3. And then I attached 2 more for both antennae, and then I attached 2 more for the claws. So at some point I was working with like 7 balls of yarn attached to this, and that was not very pleasant. I tried to put them all in this basket, and then I think it would have been fine if it was in the round, but since this is flat you have to turn it around every time. So I just cut my yarns on the backside and started doing stranded colorwork somewhere in the middle, because I was like, I'm not doing this entire thing any longer. And right now it's fine. I don't have floats that are incredibly long. I think the longest one right now is the white when I'm doing the claw, which I've resorted to just catching my float once, which, I mean, it's not the most pleasant, but it's fine. And the backside looks interesting to say the least. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm still hoping my decreases won't interfere with my lobster. I think I've planned it in a way where they won't. I'm hoping. So I've come until this point, and well, apart from all of the tangles I'm hiding over there, I have one main problem with this piece right now, and that is my floats. I've knitted standard colorwork before, but I've only ever used a stretchier fiber like a merino. And there I was just kind of used to holding my floats in place, like not pulling them tight, but just holding them a bit and then picking them back up and continuing to knit with them. And that's what I was doing back here. And as you can see, my floats aren't necessarily tight, like they're not, they don't have tension on them or anything like that, but on the front side, that still produced a result that I'm not that happy with. So this is not a stretchy fiber at all. It's mostly cotton. There's some viscose and some linen in there. And that has somehow caused the fabric to kind of bunch up, especially on this claw, but the problem exists on this claw as well. So the floats seem to be a little too short, which I realized, and I could fix up here where it looks a lot better by just letting the floats hang a little loose, like almost this type of smile shape, before I pick them back up. And they are looser back here, definitely. They look more like the floats I am used to, because they became tighter than I held them, definitely. So I would like everything to look like this. And while this doesn't look like a huge problem, like it's still very clear what it's supposed to be, but right now I kind of spread the fabric out, so there's just a lot of red on the strands in the back. So when I pull the fabric, I can kind of like bunch it up in the middle, like there's just too much fabric on the strand. I don't know. So it's not a huge problem, but I know that it bothers me right now, and it'll bother me every time I look at this spot if I don't fix it, which is a little sad because it's quite far down, but I think I'll be unraveling until at least here. I'm not excited because this part it took so long, but whatever. I know it's the better decision. It is a few days later, and I thought I'd start back on my lobster top. I unraveled it until I think one row above the I-cord cast on, because that is where the lobster used to start. And I did go back to the drawing board and I changed my lobster a little bit. I mainly changed the antenna because it used to be only one stitch wide, and it also started essentially right above the I-cord cast on. And it just looked too thin, and it also looked like it was connected to the cast on, which I didn't like. So I went back and I changed it, and well, I made a mistake when I picked it back up, which was that I just started the lobster again immediately after the cast on. Like I only have one row of white in between, and now it still looks like it's connected. And this is like a good hour of progress, so that's fun, but I'm gonna frog back once more. Good morning. I woke up like an hour ago and I haven't had breakfast yet, but I did have coffee and I'm already knitting. And I have a very exciting update to share, and that is that I'm almost done with my back panel. This is my little lobster friend. I am very happy with it. It looks way better than I even expected it to look. It turned out so cute. I'm honestly so proud. And I'm also pretty happy I went back to fix the float problem. This is what the backside looks like. I made one, I didn't really make a mistake. I just used the wrong piece of red ones here, and there's like a weird float over there that doesn't really belong there. But yeah, other than that, that's what it looks like. I will say that I let everything hang very loosely back there. So on the sides of my lobster, I don't know how well you can see that, but the stitches are relatively loose where it transitions from the white to the red. But I can kind of like move the red stitches around to fill these spots. So it's the right amount of space. I'm just not quite sure how I can make the stitches sit where I want them to sit. But I'm also hoping that when I block this, that issue will kind of solve itself. The lobster design will continue for a little bit into the strap, so the tail of the lobster goes like right here, which is kind of cool, and it'll like merge in with the I-cord edge on the side and the I-cord edge on the other side of the strap and the I-cord edge that goes here. There's lots of I-cords in this. I also have to look up again how to do an I-cord bind off. I don't know, I forget every time. I think I wrote it down though. So yeah, let's do the last full row of this top. Very excited. This took me a very long time. I don't know, I'm a pretty fast knitter usually. Honestly, I was pretty upset reworking that part with that I had frogged before. But once I got to the point where I was like past the point I had frogged last time, I was kind of fine. I could kind of, you know, see everything coming together and see the design working out, and then I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. And then the rest of it I actually did pretty quickly, so maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. It's insane how much I get my yarns tangled though. I've been trying so hard to keep them apart, but they're not listening to me. It's a problem. Okay, it's like 15 minutes later. I didn't think I would give an update that quickly, but I got done doing my iCard cast off. I'm so proud of myself for this whole top and this part especially, because I took such detailed notes on how I did it for the backside. Because I remember it took me like an entire day to figure out how to even do this, like how to make sure that I have my 13 stitches on hold here, I have my 13 stitches here, I add an I-cord on both of the insides of the strap here. This is bound off, it looks neat because I prefer the look of this to the look of the inside, so I have to do the cast off from the wrong side. So remember, I knitted that twice definitely. I figured out how to like cast on the extra stitches here, and I mean, none of it is particularly complicated when you're just following the instructions, but I remember how difficult it was to figure out how to do all that and do it in a way where it makes sense and you don't have to like move your stitches back and forth a million times. And now all I have to do is 2 straps. This one has some lobster still in it, as you can see, and this one is just a plain white one. So I can definitely finish that today, and then I just have to do the ties for the sides and obviously attach them at the shoulders, but that's like, I don't know, 5 minutes of work. So I think I'm close to the finish line. I can already see it. It is the next day, and I blocked my front side yesterday and let it dry overnight, so this is what we're working with now. I kind of tried to pull it in the same shape and size as the back side, and that worked out well as well. So this is where we are right now, and it kind of fits together pretty perfectly. Wait, there's too many things to keep track of here, like this. So they're almost exactly the same. The back has a bit of a different neck shaping, so it comes up a little bit higher, and it should still give me a circumference here for my neck hole that is, I think, 64 point something centimeters. Took me like an entire day of doing Pythagoras theorem to figure out how to fit my head through this hole. I just haven't been able to try this on while I was knitting it, obviously, because it's knitted flat. So like I've been able to hold it up to me, but it's not really the same thing as trying it on. So wow, a butterfly just flew on my window and hopefully didn't die, it fell. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna attach this and then see if it even looks good on me. So I'm really happy with my top, and I thought, why not share that with everybody? And since I was writing a bit of a pattern for myself as I was going along anyways, I thought I could just transfer that to different kinds of sizes and then publish it for anybody who might like to do this top as well. So I spent all of last weekend figuring out the sizing and the different charts for different sizes, and I designed a pattern for it and put it up on Ravelry pretty much exactly 24 hours ago. And something happened that I did not think would happen. My expectation was that nobody would care and nobody would look at it. If it had 0 views by this point, I would have not been surprised. However, at the present moment, my pattern has 2,766 views and 431 people have put it in their favorites. I've gotten featured on the debut pattern spotlight, and I'm number 2 on Hot Right Now for all items on Ravelry. And I am absolutely overwhelmed with the response. This is my first pattern that I've ever published. I do not have a huge social media following that would have brought people there, so I just keep seeing the numbers rising, and I keep checking every minute and seeing all the comments and all of the people who are so excited about it. And I'm very proud of myself for accomplishing this, but also absolutely confused what happened there. A lot of people seem to love the design. I hope you love the pattern too. A link to it is in my description right now. It is completely free. You can download it and make it. So if you make it, I would love to see your progress. I would love to see your pictures. I would love to hear feedback about the design and the pattern. And lastly, thank you so much for watching this vlog up until this point, and thank you for all of the support that the pattern has gotten. Like this video if you enjoyed watching me design this knitting pattern, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.